Alright, so in this video, I'm just going to be discussing problems that I have with both PUBG and Fortnite, and maybe a few problems with Rainbow Six. Well, often people ask me, PUBG versus Fortnite. Obviously, it's a thing that's been discussed on the internet quite a bit of times. It's funny because there's the people who think PUBG is terrible, and then there's the people who think Fortnite is terrible. I'm going to give my opinion as well as some pretty good facts. Pretty solid facts, and by facts I mean opinions that are really valid. I think one opinion to be valid is that I wouldn't say either games are terrible. Let's start off with some of the misconceptions. People assume that only kids play Fortnite, but it's not necessarily true. There's actually a lot of mid-range adults that are playing Fortnite, especially in places like South America, where it's a free game, so they're playing it because it's a free game. And, a lot of South Americans, especially from Brazil, are always into the free games and whatnot. And there's also a lot of adults because generally adults are on computers and they play video games while the kids go outside and do stuff. I feel like people are kind of missing that point when they say only kids are playing Fortnite because that's not 100% true at all. There's also a lot of kids that play PUBG as well. Obviously, the demographics are a little bit skewed. People assume that kids are only playing Fortnite, but to be honest, I don't know if they are or not for the most part. Because, and well, the thing is, neither do you. Because, unlike in PUBG, well, I say this because I'm talking about the Xbox version of both of the games. I haven't played too much of the PC version of either game. But on the Xbox version, you can't talk to people in game chat, which means that it's effectively impossible to know what the age of the person is that killed you or who killed you, and you're not able to get that information as data and be able to round off, okay, so the majority of people that I'm playing with are kids. That means mostly kids play Fortnite. Because you can't do that, you don't know who the age is, and that's the same applies for PUBG too. Because of that, you don't know what the age of people is, and neither do I, but I'm gonna base this off of, YouTube comment sections and whatnot. And also, age stuff that you might see on, the subreddit and whatnot. Not the subreddit and the community things like the Wikia. So, to start off with the first problem, so here's the problem. I don't necessarily hate either game. I don't necessarily like either game either. I will definitely go out of my way and say that I think Fortnite is more fun. And I'll give a few reasons why. I hate to say that it's better, but it is. I mean, if we're being for real here, Fortnite is just overall generally a better game. Now to get started now, it's okay if you like PUBG. I like it too. I still play it, but I just would say that Fortnite is definitely a better game in all regards. To start off, it's an early access and costs $30. Even though the game is nowhere near finished. There's a lot of issues with bugs in general. The game crashes very often. The textures generally don't load in, which is a problem if an entire building doesn't load in. Sometimes you'll glitch into the buildings and get killed through the wall. A lot of these problems have been addressed, but none of them have been fixed. Also, the fact that there's two maps on PUBG it sucks. The second map is terrible. I haven't played the third map. It hasn't came out on Xbox yet. But Erangel is much better than Miramar. 10 times better. And because the creators of PUBG are cheap, they won't convert the weapons from Miramar into Erangel. So you're not even able to experience the new weapons and tools unless if you play on the new map, which is really stupid. And although it might fit the time zone, blah 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 blah, or time zone, but maybe the area because it's a very dusty, very sandy area. Regardless, it's still a very BS move, and it sucks because the map sucks. The map is terrible. Is it even a dispute? And this is a problem with PUBG in general. Two problems with PUBG in general. A, it's way too open. Because PUBG is just so boring. It's PUBG, and I said this before, PUBG is a broken, unbalanced, boring mess. That's all it is. It's something that it wants to be. It's something that PUBG wants, or it wants to be something that Fortnite is. An actually fun game. And it comes down to two main reasons. A, the map is too big, which means that you're very likely going to just get completely destroyed by the white zone. Because it's so big, you have to, like, hopefully find a vehicle in an area. And because you're literally sometimes you are required to find a vehicle and sometimes you won't find a vehicle, you will always be put in a situation in those cases where you will just not stand a chance, no matter what you do. Whereas in Fortnite, you're generally able to make it to the next white zone, at least the next white zone once. It's not super punishing, especially because now, even before Fortnite had vehicles, it wasn't that punishing. Now that Fortnite has vehicles, it's much more fun. Also, the fact that it's not also another thing, another reason why Fortnite is more fun is because the map isn't so big, you're actually more likely to get into action. You're not just going to be sitting around waiting for like 30 minutes for more people to die and for the white zone to come in. You're not sitting there just twiddling your thumbs for like I said, maybe even 30 minutes. It takes forever for something to actually happen, which means you're either the number of times you're actually in a firefight pales in comparison to the amount of time you're either sitting there waiting or running to the white zone. Whereas in Fortnite, because the map is smaller and more confined, you're actually able to engage in more combat, and you're able to get other loot more quickly. And it's just overall more enjoyable. The biggest problem, and the second biggest problem with PUBG, I'd say, is the snipers in general. Because the game isn't balanced in any way, shape, or form, not getting a sniper rifle basically means that you're at an extreme disadvantage. See, the thing is that, like, in Fortnite, you don't need a sniper rifle to win. When it starts, for the most part, if you're ever getting shot at by a sniper, you're able to build and get cover in advance. Obviously, having a sniper rifle is an advantage, but you don't need one in order to win. Very often, you'll see YouTubers play where they don't even have a sniper rifle at all because they don't need one. Not saying that there aren't YouTubers that'll win without a sniper rifle in PUBG, because that's what you call luck, basically. And by sniper, by the way, too, I just mean a ranged weapon. I'm not just saying, like, a Car 98K. I mean, like, anything with a scope. Or anything with a scope, or having a scope in general. Having a ranged weapon is 100% required, but the odds of you actually getting it are pretty low in comparison. I could play maybe 10 games of PUBG and not get a single 8x scope. It's very possible. And I'm talking about not just play it, but I mean, like, make it to the top 25 and play. Also, the game is just generally really drawn out. Also, another problem is the hit detection is just not good at all. The gun firing is not even consistent because, unlike Fortnite, the damage model is based off of a random generator as opposed to a logarithmic scale like PUBG is, or sorry, like Fortnite is. You can look this stuff up. It goes pretty deep into the. There isn't that much information about it, but it's very apparent that, and especially if you do tests, that you can see how one is basically completely randomized and the other one is based off of a scale. Obviously, I think Fortnite's scale should be changed so that the bloom isn't so bad, but, you know, at least it's consistent, so it's not that bad of a deal. And they fixed the shotguns, too. Obviously, people are still complaining about the shotguns. Shotguns are broken, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, I think that shotguns should do more damage. If you shoot somebody with only one bullet, I feel like it should still do more than 8 damage, but it's okay. Like I said, at least it's consistent. Another thing about Fortnite, too, is that it just generally looks better. PUBG, just like I said, looks like absolute crap on Xbox. It does not look good at all. It doesn't even look that good on PC, either. But it looks terrible on Xbox. And sometimes textures won't even load in from a long distance. It's actually possible for somebody to shoot you that doesn't see you. And it sucks, because the amount of times I've been killed by people with long-range weapons, and it's like, boom, you're dead. That's it. And there's also just nothing you can really do about it when somebody's shooting you. There isn't any, like, it's not like you are, it's like if somebody has a strategical advantage that you don't know about, that's it. There's not really much you can do about it. It just basically boils down to luck. Do you have a good vantage point? Is the white zone favoring you? Do you have a good weapon? Alright, you deserve to win more than these guys do. Whereas if you're playing Fortnite, even if you don't have everything you need, just having a baseline of weapons and being really good with them will give you the ability to kill people. Like, people are able to kill people with any weapon in Fortnite. Like, if you have a white pistol, you can take down somebody with a purple sniper rifle or a purple tactical submachine gun. That's absolutely a thing that you can do. You're not going to be seeing people running around with a G18 knocking down people with a SCAR-L in PUBG. That just doesn't happen. Very often. Obviously, you could probably look up some instances, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that you haven't done that more than once. And Fortnite also has a replay value, too. Fortnite keeps track of your stats, and with the Battle Pass, it encourages you to play more. Not only encourages you, but also rewards you with cosmetic items to make you feel like you're playing the game for a reason. Even if you win a game of PUBG, which I've won quite a few, I've won like maybe 30 at this point. Even if you win a game of PUBG, so what? You literally get a winner, chicken dinner, that's it. There's nothing there for you. You're gonna maybe even gloat about it. It's like, I gotta win, who cares? You don't get anything for it. Maybe you get a little bit of extra battle points, but the cosmetics are so useless because the cosmetic items, and see, the thing is about PUBG is that the cosmetic items actually mean something. Like, getting a bulletproof helmet isn't just a cosmetic item, you actually have extra protection for your head, which means that you're going to be replacing that nice hat you got, which means that any cosmetic items you get that, for example, are a hat, you're not going to see because you're going to replace it with a helmet. If it's a shirt, you're not going to see it because you're going to be replacing it. First off, you're not going to see it from the back because you have a backpack, and you're not going to be seeing it from the front very much because you have a bulletproof vest on. Shoes, who cares about shoes? You don't even see the shoes. Unless if it's like glowing neon colors, the shoes are literally irrelevant. And even if they were, why would you do that? That just gives away your position. Whereas in Fortnite, they have a very good model, a very fair model, where you pay for items in the game, and they're cosmetic only, and you get to choose exactly what you want. It's not randomized loot boxes like in PUBG, and which is one of the biggest reasons why I'm like, you know what? I'm going to spend money on this game and buy it because I'm going to enjoy what I get as far as content. Also, I know what I'm getting. Also, I know exactly how much it costs, and the price isn't going to change, as opposed to Fortnite. Obviously, PUBG. But obviously, the stuff for PUBG as far as gambling goes, that's only on PC, and that doesn't really exist on Xbox. But, you know, just because it doesn't exist on PUBG, just because it doesn't exist on Xbox doesn't mean I'm not going to bring it up, because it's still annoying. Also, I don't know if you can pay for cosmetics on Xbox yet, but it's very possible that you could have to, that you will have to in the future. Also, the Xbox version doesn't really get that many updates at all. There isn't very many changes. It gets about as many updates as maybe Rainbow Six Siege, which, don't get me wrong, Rainbow Six Siege... Well, the thing is, Rainbow Six Siege generally doesn't need the updates. Rainbow Six Siege on Xbox, or on console. On PC, they get updates whenever they need to, but because they have to go through the systems, and they have to check in through Microsoft and Sony, and they have to do all this stuff, the updates take a little bit longer because they have to make sure that they're, like, not putting any bad stuff into the coding that'll ruin your save files or anything like that in the next updates, which is a good thing. I'm glad they do it, but at the same time, it just causes there to be more delays. And it's not just because it's on Xbox too, because PUBG gets plenty of updates because it's in early access, which means technically they don't have to go through all this strenuous background checks by Sony and Microsoft. Whereas for PUBG on Xbox, it's just that Bluehole doesn't care about it, and that they just care about the PC version. Moral of the story is, Fortnite is way more fun and more enjoyable, and also way more worth my time than PUBG. And, I'm sorry for those people who like PUBG. I like PUBG. I still play it. But saying that PUBG sucks, or saying that PUBG is only for kids, I feel like maybe you just haven't played the game enough. Maybe you just are terrible at it. Or maybe you just have gotten like bad influences because you see that this seems like a game for kids, but you haven't really tried it out for yourself that much. Because honestly, it's a pretty fun experience, and I can understand why you might prefer PUBG over Fortnite for its gritty realism, but as of right now, the game has many problems that need to be addressed. And before they address them, I'm gonna say that Fortnite is more enjoyable and just overall a better game and a story.